I thought I would finally get around to doing a video you guys have been requesting since the dawn of this channel. A question that I get hundreds of thousands of times a year on social media. Okay, hundreds of thousands may be a slight exaggeration, but that's what it feels like. What can I do if I go to Ireland? What things would I suggest? The reason it's taken me so long to do this is because there are so many other people who have done videos on this, and also a lot of just lists on websites for people to do. So I wanted to make mine very specific and keep it weird.
Not weird, but like exciting weird.
These are my 10 suggestions. They might not be the things that you want to do. Maybe you just want to go to museums and see art and go to the Guinness storehouse, and that's perfectly fine. But these are the things that I think are fun and cool. These suggestions include both the Republic of Ireland and the North of Ireland, which all inhabit the island of Ireland. And I suggest you go and visit both places, but you will need 2 separate currencies for both. One uses the pound sterling and one uses the euro. You can travel freely, you don't need your passport between them, but there are some differences, like signs or different units of measurement and stuff. I did a video before on this channel about ways to save money if you're coming to Ireland, so I suggest you do that, but I think now is a really good time because Ireland is starting to open back up again, just like the rest of the world, and maybe you're planning a lifelong, once-in-a-lifetime trip over to Ireland, and if so, I hope you have the best time ever, and these are my ideas for what to do. Before I get into today's video, I would be really grateful if you would like, share, and subscribe to this channel, because if you don't, there's a good chance an Irish curse may befall you, and that curse will be next time you're nodding off to sleep, foot cramp, oh god, you're gonna have the best sleep ever. But if you like and subscribe and share, maybe that won't happen. Comment too for the algorithm. Okay, the first thing you have to do is don't stay in a blah regular hotel. There are so many better places to stay in Ireland than your average go-to travel lodge or Hilton hotel. You can do that, but it's boring. I made a list of a couple of places you can stay. You can stay in a tree house with a hot tub in the Cork Woods. You can stay in a lighthouse in the Cliffs of Mayo, a library in Donegal. You can even stay in a medieval ring fort and have full access to 35 acres of the Irish National Heritage Park after it closes. If you do fancy a bit of luxury, you can stay in a freaking castle. You can go and stay in a domain. The Village at Lyons is a great place I used to live. It's fantastic. I think it's called the Cliff at Lyons or something. It changes names a lot. Or the funnest thing of all, you could stay in an Airbnb cottage in a Gaeilgeoir town where they speak Irish, and you can really get a feel for what an Irish household is like, and maybe the mommy will even give you some dinner and some breakfast, and that would be really cool. Don't just stay in a hotel. If you're traveling through Dublin, you can even find cool places to stay, so do not stay in a hotel, stay somewhere quirky and fun. The next thing you have to do if you come to Ireland is visit a film or TV set. There are lots of tours around Ireland, and the reason there are so many is because Ireland avails of a lot of tax breaks for production companies and a lot of TV shows and films that you might not even know filmed here. Obviously, my #1 suggestion is go to the Game of Thrones locations, Winterfell. I did a video on that before. It was so fun, like definitely one of my top days in life ever. It didn't even take that time. It's in a little town that's 40 minutes drive from Belfast, so if you're on your way up north, you can do that. You can go on a cycle trail, you can go where Bram got pushed out the window, you can do archery, you can do visiting the dire wolves. There's so much to do, and you don't have to actually like Game of Thrones, so if your partner or something doesn't like it, you'll still have an amazing day if you go there. And what's really cool is a lot of the people who worked on the set, including the actors, do the tours and stuff there. There are countless other ones across Ireland. There's a Braveheart tour, a Bram Stoker Dracula tour, there's a PS I Love You tour, I think Derry Girls has some kind of tour, and the cherry on top is of course the Quiet Man tour, which if you really want to see old Ireland, go on that one. There is a teeny tiny chance that you can even get yourself on set as an extra, so go check out some of those places, have a good Google, see what's going on when you're over. It's really fun to check out a set. The next thing you have to do is something I did in a school tour, and I really have been meaning to do it ever since. It's visit the Aran Islands. If you really want to see old Ireland, the Aran Islands is it. You can get a bike and just travel across and all around the island on your bicycle. It's super fun. Your arse will hurt because there's a lot of hills. The Aran Islands are made up of 3 different islands, and you can get a ferry across from the mainland to them, and one of them has the coolest thing ever. A place called Inishmore is one of the 3 islands, and it has this thing called a wormhole, a natural made wormhole. It looks like this, and yeah, nature did that. It wasn't made by humans. A lot of people call it different things, including the serpent's lair, but the official name is Pol Namesh. That's what the people of the island call it. When I was there, you can actually go swimming in it, which is crazy. There are a ton of caves underneath, so you'd want to be, I don't know, a good swimmer. I don't think any accidents have happened there as far as I know, but just in case. It's worth noting that there's a good chance it will be absolutely freezing, so bring your wetsuit, rather you than me. It was actually really sedate when I was there, like the water doesn't move or anything, but what happens is when the water comes up on the shore, it overfills into this little hole in the ground and then it seeps back out into the underground cave. There has been a Red Bull diving competition there, and what really just blows your mind is the idea that it was just made by nature. Like, it's in the shape of a swimming pool and nature made it, and you can just go swimming there. It's crazy cool. The next thing you have to do if you go to Ireland is go to a trad session, and that might sound like a very typical list, but what makes my one different is that I would suggest you go to a trad session in any town in Ireland. There is always a trad session at any weekend, and the best ones are the ones that are really spontaneous, but you might not have enough luck to come across a spontaneous trad session. So two really great places to go to trad sessions are Johnny Fox's pub up in the Wicklow Mountains, as well as the Cobblestone pub, which is where I filmed the 2 songs that I recorded. They're super nice in there, and what's very cool about it is sometimes, yeah, obviously it's people play music and sing up on the stage, but also sometimes people will pass around a fiddle, or they'll just all start singing in the audience and stuff like that. You gotta read the vibe, don't just jump into somebody's show if it's an actual show. But the cool thing is that usually they are very interactive, and the more that you can just get on board, the better. If you can play the guitar, bring your guitar, read the vibe, don't just enjoy someone playing. That could be really awkward. If you're really lucky, you might even get part of a lock-in, which I've talked about before on the channel, and a lock-in at a trad session is just, it will be one of the greatest experiences of your life if it happens. The next fun thing that I would suggest you do is go to Delphi in Galway. Again, I did this on a school tour, and it's a really unique experience. It's an adventure park in Ireland, but it's like nowhere else in the world. You can do all sorts of activities, from water sports to team building games. A lot of companies go there to build the team spirit in the company. You can go kayaking, you can go surfing, you can climb Jacob's ladder, you can go across a tightrope in the woods, you can fall into a puddle in the middle of the woods, which is what I did, which was hella embarrassing. This is the one time that I would, however, suggest you go with the 4-star hotel on location as opposed to the hostel that's available. You're not going to stay there more than 2 nights really, but after all that rolling around in the mud and in the water, you're going to want to have a good sleep, and the hostel is, yeah. If you're earthy, it's really cool, but you might also be there when there are school tours going on and it's going to be noisy, and yeah, it's just not. It's not it. I suggest you reward yourself with a nice hotel at the end, but it's up to you. Next up, visit a local market. People suggest specific ones on different lists, but this is the thing, they're going to be everywhere. Everywhere in Ireland has farmers markets, especially at the weekends, and even bric-a-brac markets. They are so fun, and if you really want to see how Irish people interact with one another, go to a car boot sale in Ireland. They're really fun, and you can have a good time just negotiating and hearing people shouting out to one another. It's just a really good buzz. You can also get fresh produce and all sorts of Irish charming things that are handmade. Depends on the market you go to, obviously, so choose carefully, but every town and city will have one in Ireland at some point, so check out the one that's near you, or where you're traveling through a particular town, check it out. Next up, there are lots of tours you can do in Ireland, lots of museums, blah blah blah, but the ones I suggest are the creepy ones. There is the Dublin Ghost Bus Tour. There's also Haunted Dublin. That's a really fun walking tour, but I suggest you go on the bus one because the weather is just never predictable in Ireland, and at least on the bus one, you know you have the bus to go back to for shelter. What's very cool about these is that they're usually run by actors who are doing the tour, local Irish actors. Having been an actor myself, I have to say I really enjoyed doing this because you can see people doing their craft and they're just really passionate about it, and it's very cool. Usually they'll be dressed up and they'll do like spooky stories and stuff. What's a bonus of going on the ghost tours is the fact that you can also stop off in different pubs. They'll bring you around to different pubs, and obviously you'll have to pay extra to buy drinks there or whatever, but you'll get chatting to the other people on your tour, and you'll get like a really nice initiation into a group of people. So maybe that's something you want to do at the beginning of of your trip to Ireland. I believe the walking tour actually takes you on a trip to get an Irish stew dinner at the end, so there is that positive. If you do get the good weather, check that out. They're going to take you as well to a lot of sites that you are not going to want to check out on your own, because some of them are in slightly dodgy areas, but when you're part of the tour, it's much better and much safer. You can go see the Hellfire Club and all sorts of things that really shouldn't do as a tourist alone, especially late at night. I say that not because you're going to be scared of the ghosts and stuff, but more so like the junkies and things, so yeah, be careful. The next really fun thing you should do in Ireland is go check out a drag show in the George. The George is Dublin's biggest gay bar, and this one obviously comes with a little bit of a caveat. Ireland is very LGBTQ+ friendly, and the George is like the capital nightclub. If that's not your jam, just avoid it. Also, if you're very anti it, I suggest you keep those views to yourself in Ireland, because read the room. Ireland in recent years has been very progressive. We were the first country to vote in gay marriage. Our Prime Minister is a homosexual man, and everybody's cool with that. Some people don't like his policies, but that's politics for you. The drag shows are super cool. There are some really talented people doing them. The vibe there will be loud, people will be cheering, singing, dancing. Nobody's going to force themselves on you if you're not gay, so don't worry about that. But I would suggest if you're not kind of into the nightclub atmosphere, don't go to it. If you're kind of more introverted person, it might not be for you, because it's loud, it's wild, and it's fun. The George Bar has one of the strictest door policies I have come across. They always check everybody's ID, so do bring your ID with you. Also, depending on the group that you're with, you might not get let in. For example, if you're with a group of very rowdy, clearly entirely not gay men, they might be worried you will cause trouble in there, so just be aware of that before you go. If you're up for the crack though, it is a really good time, so do check it out. Maybe just stagger yourself if you're going in, depending on your group. The next thing I suggest you definitely check out is a Fringe comedy show. There are lots of huge comedy shows with famous comedians all around Ireland. Vicar Street is a big one, the Olympia in Dublin as well. I think Galway has some big comedy shows in Cork too. But the Fringe shows can be really fun. You'll see a lot of amateurs, first-time stand-up comedians, as well as really established small circuit comedians who are just hilariously funny. Irish people are inherently funny by nature, so either way you're going to end up having a laugh there. Usually you'll be able to get a pint and a packet of crisps when you go in. They're really cheap, from like €5 up, and you'll just have a great night for a really low cost. Most pubs around Ireland will have a comedy night at least once a month in them, so check out those, especially the ones in small country towns, because you never know who you're going to come across at the beginning of their career. It's so fun. Do be prepared, they may pick on you in the audience, and if it is a first time comedian, just be sound and give them a little support. Don't just sit there like, entertain me. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And the number one thing I suggest you do, which has a lot of nostalgia for me because I spent all my weekends and all my holidays growing up there, is visit British Bay Beach in County Wicklow. In my opinion, it is the most beautiful beach in the world, bar the fact that it doesn't get the sunshine. Sometimes it does, and that's amazing, but it is lovely for a quiet walk, even on a windy day. If it is busy, make sure you walk up past where all the people congregate. Coagulate, I was going to say, that's the wrong word. Walk up beyond them, walk up to the rocks, and you will find some beautiful quiet scenes. Make sure you run up and down the sand dunes, go on a trail, that's great fun, especially if you have kids, but if you don't have kids, it's just good fun anyway, nobody's going to judge you. And if you're lucky, the fish and chip van will be open in the car park, and you can have a little picnic on the beach. It's super nice. You could of course pack ahead, but that involves being organised, which just isn't my jam. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully now I have this video to refer back to every time people ask me what they should do if they visit Ireland, so it's here for posterity. Prosperity? Posterity. Posterior is your bum. Chewie has a couple of shout outs today. Off you go, Chewie.
See these names? These names are the names of some of the specialist people in the whole world. They make it possible for mommy to be able to buy cable for making videos on the internet. Thank you to each and every one of them.
Thank you so much to those guys. We really appreciate your support. You are what makes this channel keep going, so thank you very much. That's it for today's Young of the Sci-Fi. The birds are chirping. I hope my mic doesn't pick that up, and the dog is panting. Next up, visit a local market. Next up, visit a local market. You won't find this on a lot of lists. Next up, visit a local market. You won't find a specific... Next up, visit a local market. People say red leather, yellow leather. I've talked about arse a lot in today's video.